The following images will be disturbing.
You could choose to look away.
Please don't.
But we are hoping you won't.
We are praying that you will hear our cries for help.
We are desperate
Broken.
and alone.
Waiting for someone to save us from the living hell our lives have become.
We are the millions of children trapped in the horrors of sex trafficking. It is estimated that every year 1.2 million children will be forced into sex trafficking.
This is in addition to the millions that are already held captive.
It's time to change the statistics.
Babich looks like she's about 15 or 16, and she's got a 3-month-old little boy. And you can see she's a precious girl, and she's doing this to survive. She has no other way to feed herself and her son, and nobody's coming down here to help these girls. These girls want out of this lifestyle. This is dangerous. They can die at any time. They can end up with HIV if they don't have it already. Sometimes they work the entire night from sunset to sunup for like $3 or $4. They end up giving about half of that to pay for their small rooms. And I can tell you from being down here a few times, these girls went out and they're looking for a way. And we're here to provide them a way, give them a new life. We have basically 5 core programs. One is a crisis response for things like earthquakes and the tsunami. Another one is our feeding program, our home campaign for widows and orphans. We have a medical clinic in Ethiopia, and then our SAFE campaign, which is what we say it's our global response to sex trafficking. And right now we have 6 homes in Ethiopia for girls that are victims of sex trafficking that we personally rescue them. All of our work has been focused internationally, and then one day out of the clear blue, the FBI contacts us and said, "We want to talk to you." They looked at other organizations, and apparently they liked what ICA's programs were in Cambodia and Ethiopia, and they liked the fact that we were actually having some success and that it was a holistic program that was important to them, that we looked after all the needs of the girls. So the meeting in St. Louis led to a meeting in Washington, D.C., where I learned a whole lot more about it on a national level. The average girl that they rescue has been in it for 3 to 5 years before she reaches the age of 17. If they're minors, they're basically put through the juvenile system, and depending on the state, they're prosecuted for the very thing that they're a victim of. Now, what are the chances of reaching that girl? Pretty slim, because the pimp is the one who told her what's going to happen, and the brainwashing that has gone on for the years that she's been a victim. One of the problems in America is that the pimps get the girls, they find them in malls, they find them in bus stations, train stations, and the statistics are for America, 80 to 85% of the girls are runaways. 95% of all the girls that are victims of sex trafficking have been abused, sexually abused by a family member. 30% of the victims that are recovered through law enforcement raids have been sold by their own families. And in the West, when we use that word prostitution, in almost everybody's mind, there's a degree of willingness in that girl's part to be what she's doing. And you know what? There's no willingness for that girl to be doing what she's doing. I've been around the world, and I've seen wars, and I've seen refugee camps, and I say I've seen probably some of the worst things humans can do to human beings, but nothing compares to girls that are being victims of sex traffickers. If you take a girl who's, say, 14 years old, and she's in it for 3 years, and she's being forced to work 5 nights a week, and she sees 5 to 10 guys a night, thousands and thousands of times that girl's been raped before she ever reaches the age of 17. The pimps get the girls, And besides the fear and the multiple rapes and the intimidation is they get them hooked on drugs. And once they got them hooked on drugs, they got them completely under control. So for the most part, these girls don't think they have an option. They don't think that there's a way for them to get out. That's why it's so essential to get these homes open, so we got somewhere to take the girls, so law enforcement and the court systems have somewhere to put these girls besides juvenile detention. That meeting led us to the decision that they said to us after the meeting, we can't officially ask you to do anything, but what we're asking you to do is, would you please open a home so we have somewhere to send these girls. There's no federal funding available for American victims of sex trafficking to provide the aftercare services, the homes, the long-term residential care that these girls are going to need. There's no federal funds available for that, for Americans. Now, if the girls are rescued by law enforcement and they're from another country, there is money available and there are programs and there's federal funding available for those girls, but not for American girls. These are our girls, these are American citizens, these are American children. Unless we do something, it's never going to get better for them. Oh, the expenses, yeah, I mean, it's expensive to run a home. You have staff, you have house mothers, you've got security. I mean, security is a very serious matter here in the States because a lot of the girls are involved because of organized crime, so you have all of those considerations to take into effect. You've got legal matters. We want all of our girls involved in the prosecution of the pimps and involved in the prosecution of the Johns. Well, we have to incur legal expenses for the girls in order for that to happen, but unless we do that, we're never going to help the problem. And so you got school. Most of these girls got some kind of STD that has to be dealt with. So you got medical expenses. Some are going to be HIV positive, so you got all of that. You've got food, education, and there's specialized training for victims of human trafficking, specifically victims of sex trafficking. And we have the resources, the experts who have developed this. We've been in contact with them, and so we will bring that model and basically incorporate the same thing here in the States. Once we get the home open, we will train the counselors that work there to go through this specialized training in order to deal with these girls. So it's about $5,000 a month for 10 to 12 girls in Ethiopia. Here in the States, that's about $500,000. So it's expensive here. But should we let that stop us? Heck no, we shouldn't let it stop us. How do you put a price tag on if it's your daughter? Because every one of those girls is somebody's daughter. You know, what if it was your sister that is a victim, who's being victimized right now, and you know it, but there's nothing you can do to help her? Would you put a price tag on an organization that could do something about it to help her? Would you say to that organization, oh, a house for $500,000 a year? It's too much, leave her go. If that house was $100 million a year, you would say it's worth every penny of it to save your daughter. Well, we have to do something. We have to join together and do something. Now that people know about the situation, this is what I'm asking people to do, and that is to absolutely refuse to do nothing. We can do something about this. You know, I believe that the high school age, the college age students who have a real passion for this, especially when they hear about it, you know, they say, we want to do something. We want not just to make awareness, but what can we do? Telling the story is one thing, and making people aware, but giving them an outlet to help with the awareness is so important. That's why we've developed the Generate program, is so that schools and colleges and churches and youth groups and others can adopt the program that's easy, it's simple, it's already put together for them, it's basically in a box, and we help walk them through, but it allows them to plug into this situation and actually do something for some little girl who's stuck on the street right now, waiting for a man to pick her up. You know, if we do something, if we don't just talk, if we actually take action, we can rescue that little girl. And not only that little girl, but hundreds and hundreds more. And we can give her a life that she doesn't even dream possible anymore. You can make a difference if you choose to. To see these girls and to hear their stories, and you know, it's I just can't put it into words. Please help. You're the only help these girls will ever get.